Hey everyone, Claire here, and today I'm making a canvas for you, and this could be done with pretty much any theme. It could be a summer theme, a winter theme, anything that you wanted. All you need is a canvas or mount board or anything like that, and a picture. So what I've done is I've chosen my picture and I have gessoed and prepared my background, which was a canvas that was painted in a different style, and I've just painted it white. And then I've drawn around my picture so I know where I'm going to put it, and I can build my layers around it. And I'm going to begin with a shipped script stamp from a Woodware. This is a lovely stamp, and I'm going to be stamping it with stays on. Now, a lot of people say that you shouldn't stamp clear stamps with stays on because it eats through your stamp. But really, I mean, you should be using your stamps whatever, and it only will eat through your stamp if you leave the stays on there. So long as you give it a good wipe with a baby wipe and don't use the stays on cleaner on it. The stays on cleaner is a big problem, but so long as you're giving it a wipe off with a baby wipe, then you're absolutely fine. Now I'm using the stamp without a block, and I'm just stamping all around where my photo is going to go, and because I put the pencil line there, I know exactly where it's going to go, and I can actually go over the pencil line so it looks more natural later on. What you want to do is make sure that your photo looks like it's had the collage built around it, and it's been the last thing added, so you want your background to go under it. So I've made sure that the stamping goes under, and it looked a bit like it was going to stick out like a sore thumb, so I made sure that I've put some of the stamping around as well. I don't use a actual stamping block when I'm doing this sort of stamping, because I find you get a much better and more ergonomic and a more natural effect when you do it that way. So the stays on that I've used in this particular one is the St. Valentine one. Now I need to add some texture to my background, so I'm going to be using the Imagine Crafts creative medium, and I'm using an iridescent one, and I believe this one is pink. Yep, it is. So it's just any sort of typical matte medium really, it's just a thicker medium, and this one's got an iridescent pearly powder in it to make it iridescent. And I'm going to use the stencil from Memory Box, and this one is quite an old stencil. It's quite an old video actually. I did this for this project for my design team term on the Imagine Crafts design team, and that was back in 2015. So I know you can still get the paste and everything in it, but I'm not too sure about the stencil. So I'm just laying the stencil down and just putting in a few random places. I'm not doing the whole stencil, as you can see. I've just done a very small area, and I'm going to do that all over. I won't show you me doing every single piece, but I'll show you so you can get the idea. And don't forget to do your edges, over your edges, off your edges, and be careful not to smudge what you've already done. This stuff dries really quickly, so just a quick heat with a heat tool will dry it off, and I'm going to fast forward now. As you can see here, I've done a few stenciling in a few places, and don't forget to wash off your stencil when you are done so you don't ruin it for the next time. Now I'm ready to build all around my photograph, so I'm going to add some double-sided tape, and I'm going to back it really well, and I'm going to stick it down, and I'm also going to use some silicone, well, it's a silicone-free glue gel by Pinflair. It's called glue gel, and it's really good. It's tried and tested, been using it for absolutely years. It doesn't smell, and it doesn't have, for people who are allergic to silicone, it doesn't have the connotations that come with that. I'm not going right up to the edges because I am going to want to actually push and details and embellishments under the photo again to make it all look that organic look that we're looking for later on. So here you can see I am applying a generous amount of the glue gel in between, and that will mean that it will be stuck there forever. Make sure that you line it up roughly where you were and give it a press down, but you want it to stay flat, so try not to make it warped, and you might need to adjust it and lift it a little bit. Sometimes putting a wide ruler on top of it will actually help that, and it will make it squish down flatter, because the glue gel will create lumps if you leave it lumpy, so make sure it's flat. And onto all of the decor. So I've got flowers, lace, ribbons, bits of failed castings of resin, and I'm using again the Imagine Crafts creative medium, and this one is in the clear. So I'm just going to blob it on and stick down. This is quite a simple process, and you don't really need to think about it too much. You'll get a gut feeling of where it wants to go, and you'll see that I do quite often change and move things around. It does take a little while for this medium to dry. It's not going to be a 5-minute instant thing, so you do have time to move things, and this works out really well when you're doing this kind of collage, because you might want to change the placement of things. And I do also like to leave my project overnight to dry thoroughly before I start adding colour, because if it's not quite dry you can reactivate it and then you'll find yourself having problems later on. And I'm going to show you a couple of bits and then I'm going to fast forward. And you can very much see that I am placing a little bit of the gel on, and I'm using a tool, just a normal spatula tool, to push under. So this is what I was meaning earlier when I said don't put your tape all the way to the edge, because you'll want to shove your embellishments underneath. And I'm also going to cut out a chipboard wooden frame and put that underneath. I'll leave this bit in so you can see me wedging this bit underneath, but it is sped up at double time. If you want to slow it down, you can go into the settings and slow it down and have a look that way. But I don't want this video to be too long, and it's already tracking about 30 minutes, so I need to cut that down quite far. Okay, moving on, I've got some plaster casts that I did, and I actually broke that one trying to cut it down, but that's fine. You can use anything in these kind of collages. I've used resin, plaster, flowers, wood. It does make it easier if you start off with ones that are white, but you can fix that later, and I'll show you later on. And it doesn't matter at all that it's cracked, because you won't see it and you don't see it in the finished product. So I'm just checking placement and where I think it's going to go, and just keep on building up like this until you're happy. And do remember that when you're making this kind of item, your picture is your focal image, not your all of the stuff that you're sticking on in the background. When people say that they can't make these kind of collages, what it usually is that they're trying to put too much on, and it overwhelms the picture, so it doesn't look right. The best advice I can give you is, although it's a very busy item that you're making, less is more in this case. So at this point I've got everything stuck down and I'm really happy with how it is, but I've got a few items that I need to paint white, and I definitely need to paint the wooden items. So I'm just taking some golden gesso and a paintbrush, and I'm just carefully just painting it all over, especially the resin pieces. And the gel wasn't dry when I was doing this. I really should have waited longer, but I didn't really have time at the time. But they've all come out fine, and nothing's dropped off 2-3 years later, so I presume that it's all fine. And I'm at the point now where I'm just touching in a little bit of gesso on the wood, and almost done. So you can see it doesn't look that much different, but everything that wasn't white is now white, and everything that wasn't able to actually suck up spray ink medium has been painted, so it will take the spray really well. That's what the end game is. You want your whole piece to take the spray really well. So I'm going to move on to spray next, and I'm going to be using the fireworks sprays again from Imagine Crafts. Now I need to protect my picture, so I'm taking a baby wipe and I'm going to loosely place a baby wipe over it. And it will make the picture a little bit damp, but once it dries out, if you leave it to dry naturally, it's just fine. So there I am, covering my picture. And you might think that I'm wearing blue in my picture, and I didn't black and white my picture, but I'm going to be spraying it with pinks and purples. But pink and purple is, blue is obviously a part of purple, so it actually comes in just fine. And because it's a dark blue, it actually stands out on the background. There's the firework, and that colour is Rosebud, so I'm starting off with Rosebud. Give these a good shake, especially if you haven't used them for a while. All of the sparkle sits at the bottom and you have to give them a really, really, really good shake. Now the gesso background that I actually used was soaking up the spray too much, so I added a little bit of water to make it spread about a bit more, and that's perfectly fine. So the next colour I'm going to add on top of that one is the Lilac Posies, which is the beautiful purple. Well, it's more like a fuchsia-y pinky purple, but it's absolutely beautiful. And you can see I'm going just in the gaps because I want the original rosebud to actually shine through. I don't want to completely obliterate that colour. And I'm only going in opposite areas as well. So I'm doing a small bit in the top left and a large area in the bottom right. So I want it to look like the colour and the display of the butterfly and everything is travelling from the bottom to the top. I do like a lot of white space, and I think a lot of white space in these kind of collages is very classy. So now I have my colours down, what I'm actually doing is I'm just spraying a little bit of water and I'm just making the colour travel a bit. I didn't like the way that it stuck together, and I wanted a more blendy effect. So I've just sprayed a little bit of water and I'm going to go in with a paintbrush and a little bit of solid colour and manipulate it to where I want it to be. I definitely like drippy parts, so I was definitely aiming to get some nice drippy effects, and I will be fast forwarding through again, and obviously use a paper towel and take off where you don't want the colour to be. And don't forget about the actual colour that you overspray on your table, because you can go in and add that in without having to add actual new colour from your sprays in. Use every little piece of colour that is available to you. So you can see me messing again, and I'm going to create some drippy effects, but I'm probably going to fast forward through most of it. I have managed to cut down this video to about 14 minutes now, so I'm very happy with that. You see, you're not having to sit through a half an hour video of just watching me play with a paintbrush and a bit of paint. So I'll be fast forwarding again. Now I'm specifically making drippy parts, and you can see there I got an extra runoff that I didn't like, so I've just dabbed it out with a paper towel and some water, and it comes away really nicely. But look at that detail on the top, it's beautiful. Anyway, so I am just filling my paintbrush with colour from my mat and just squeezing it on, and you can see the drippy going really nicely. I do like drips. And I pretty much carry on just faffing about and drying and faffing as I go along. And that's my finished item. I've got some proper photos right at the end in about 30 seconds. I really hope you've enjoyed my video today, and thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel. Please leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and don't forget that this project could be done on a winter theme or a summer theme, or a baby theme, a new baby, or wedding photos look really nice done like this. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.